Happy Mental Push-Up Monday. So, the title of today's message is The Fab Four to Learning Accountability. So, I've been on this pretty tough. Last week I spoke on the importance or the power of accountability. And I'm one that believes so strongly in this because I think, honestly, in terms of accountability, at least in my experience, and from the many things that I research, is that accountability is the game changer. Like, accountability is a game changer in terms of getting past the things that keep us stuck. At least in my world. So, yeah. So today I'm going to talk about the Fab Four to learning accountability and what I've learned so far. So, step one for me was the first one was giving yourself permission to be flawed. So I say that because the first thing that I had to kind of come to terms with was, hey, guess what? You have issues. Like I have issues, and it's okay. Like, we all have things that we need to work on. And, I struggled with this one because I was a perfectionist. I wanted to always appear that I always knew all the answers. I always had it together. And, a lot of times that kept me from being accountable. So if I made a mistake, I try to cover it up. Or if someone said, hey, you did this to me or whatever, then I would diminish their feelings because I didn't want to appear that I didn't know or that I made a mistake. Or, oh my gosh, I'm struggling here, I'm having issues, whatever. So I think the first thing we have to do is give ourselves permission to say it's okay if you don't have all the answers. You have things that you need to work on, and that's totally fine, right? Like, it's okay. Like, none of us are perfect. Give yourself permission and just relax into the fact that I don't know, and I have issues. I have things I need to work on, and it's okay. Okay, so that's step one. So, number two, this one was huge. Self-compassion. So, self-compassion was major because self-compassion defined is having kindness towards yourself, right? So, this is the thing in terms of self-compassion, at least in my experience, was I had to learn to separate the things that I did from them saying who I was, right? So, I could say, like, for instance, I could say I failed. Like, I failed at something, right? But instead, because I wasn't having compassion for myself, I would say, oh, you know what? I'm a failure. Here I go again. Completely beating myself up. Just beating yourself up. And so the thing is, with compassion, we say, hey, it's totally okay. Like, just like you would be kind to a friend, you're being kind to yourself, right? So my inner critic, I like to call her Sybil. That little voice in our head that's always just going bananas, saying, oh, you're not good enough. Oh, you did this again. What's wrong with you? Why you can't do this? The little voice in your head that speaks negatively, right? And then this is the thing about the little inner critic, Sybil, whoever your inner critic is that, we wouldn't even talk to our friends like that, yet let alone sometimes we talk to ourselves that way. So, just having compassion and really choosing love instead of choosing, fear. Because that's really what it comes down to when we're not having that compassion for ourselves. Choosing love of ourselves and having compassion for ourselves in those moments. And saying that it's totally fine. Like, I love myself in spite of the mistakes that I make. Those mistakes don't define me. Choosing love and saying, hey, yes, this is a mistake. How can I learn something here? That's self-compassion right there. Loving ourselves in spite of the things that we do. So, which takes me to step 3, right? And to get to step 3 without self-compassion, we can't even do this one. So, step 3 was looking at yourself honestly, right? And so, the thing is, at least for me, in my experience, was this. Is that, for me to, I would look at myself honestly, but without compassion. Right? Without compassion, because I look and I still would beat myself up. I say, oh, here you go again doing the same thing, da 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 da. But I was looking at the honesty, but I had to have the compassion. I had to have the compassion because the thing is, without the compassion, it was too painful for me to really, really intently look at the truth of who I was, because there were two things going on here. I had who I thought I was, or who I was supposed to be, and who I really was, right? Like who I really was. And so, without that compassion, it was no way that I would have been able to look at myself honestly. Because this is a thing that a young Levon says, and I absolutely love this. She says, you cannot repair what you're not aware of, right? And so, the thing with honesty is really we're talking about awareness, right? We're talking about, just paying attention to who am I truly? Like, who am I really? And so by being honest, that's when we can start really looking and starting repairing. It's like if you riding around in a car and it's like, oh, I just keep hearing this sound, and you just get, you think, I think it's the timing belt, or I think it's the brakes, but we don't know. Then we can't fix, we can't, I don't even know if we call it a problem, but we can't repair it. Like, we can't start working on that piece of the car if we aren't aware of what's going on. So I think that's, when we're talking about honesty, we're talking about self-awareness and really being truthful about who it is we really are. Not who we're supposed to be. Not who we think we are. The truth of who we really are. So that was a big piece in terms of learning to be accountable, because then you're being really honest, So the next and the final last piece of accountability is personal responsibility. So a big piece here was, as we talked to last week, is that yes, I'm causing all these problems in my life, but guess what, baby? Guess the beauty, baby? You are also the solution. We are 100% responsible for the outcomes that show up in our life. Like, that was a big for me. I had to own that 100%. Is that, everything that's showing up in my life, hey, you know what? What's my part here? What's my contribution? I had to take responsibility. I had to own it. You got to own the crap. You got to own the good stuff. You got to own all of it. Everything. Because this is the thing for me. Because I was unwilling to be accountable, if someone, let's say I got some feedback, I would try to cover it because I didn't want to be responsible. I didn't want to own it. I didn't want to own it and just say, again, if we go back to all these other steps, compassion, all these other things, it's okay. We're 100% responsible for the outcomes that show up in our life. So whatever choices we make, we also understand that we take full responsibility for the outcomes from those decisions and being okay with that. So personal responsibility, because this is the thing about personal responsibility. Without personal responsibility, we can't even do accountability. They go together. I think I looked up online that sometimes they talk about like what's the difference between these, but they say that you have to have responsibility, in terms of owning up, taking full responsibility to even be accountable, right? Because accountability really means that I'm taking full ownership for everything that shows up, right? I'm owning it. They go together. They're one and the same almost. So those were my big takeaways today in terms of how to learn accountability. So let's refresh. Let's go through that one more time. Let me give you the Fab Four. Number one, give yourself permission to be flawed. Hey, guess what, folks? None of us are perfect. It's okay, right? Step two, self-compassion. Love yourself in spite of the things that you do. None of us, again, if we go back to step one, none of us are perfect. Own that, it's okay that you're gonna make mistakes. It's all right. You are not the mistakes you make. Separate those. Love yourself in spite of them. Step three, honesty. Honestly looking at ourselves and being aware. We cannot repair what we're not aware of. So taking a good, honest look at yourself and saying, who am I really? Owning that part, right? And then step four, personal responsibility. I am 100% responsible for the outcomes that show up in my life. The things that are around me, I have to take full responsibility. So as I spoke to last week, yes, I may be causing problems, but I'm also the solution just by me making different choices for myself. So please subscribe, please share, because guess what, baby? It's all love. Get in there this week, do those mental push-ups, and get ready, get in the dojo of life. So it's the Dorky Jock signing off, baby.